Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another fantastic edition of Sitback with Shaq and Anu, coming to you live on Channel 1 on Dialogue TV. And of course, we're going live on our platform on YouTube, on our platform on YouTube. It's a Wednesday evening. Before we actually say anything, congratulations, Sri Lanka.
Absolutely. Who would have thought it?
You know, yesterday after the show, I couldn't believe, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I got home in 7 minutes.
Right.
I wanted to get home.
Yeah.
I wanted.
So I think
by
I
the
may
time
have
we get
sped along as well. So
yeah,
because I caught the last bit of it.
Yes,
Yeah.
just I suppose the last 12 balls, maybe 2 overs or so. But clearly those 12 balls were the best.
Yeah, but I caught it, but I didn't want to look at it, thinking I might jinx it. Because when we were here and we suddenly opened it, Belua vitara high parang gaya hua. So I said, then you saw. Did you notice that I moved the waistline? I'm not
But
good.
lots of people do have that, no?
Of course, my father was like absolute, had a penchant for, he used to throw things out of the house just in the bad luck, bad juju. I said, don't put the chair.
Anyway, as always, on the show, we've got some fantastic guests. And today, of course, is no different. And today, of course, we're going to be talking about something really, really interesting. A very prestigious awards show. It's a Brand Excellence Awards, Slim Brand Excellence Awards. And we have the project chair on the show with us, Kavi Rajapaksha. Good evening, Kavi.
Good evening.
Hi,
Very nice
Kavi.
to be here. Hi, very nice to be here.
Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And the project chair of the Slim Brand Excellence Awards, and we're going to find out all the details as to what goes into the awards and what are the categories, what's new this year, all that comes.
And especially the criteria on what, how brands are judged.
Yeah.
Very, very important because, people tend to think, that only big companies can win,
That's right.
but that's not the case because if you do things right, you win.
Yep.
But I was just thinking how prophetic that I said that my father used to throw chairs out of the project chair. Come on! Bad juju. Anyway, I got a whole new set of problems.
Okay.
I just realized after 47 years of existence and about 30 years of having like stubble on my face that there's one part of my upper lip which refuses to grow now. Harder than me plus. Can you please text us if anybody has said this?
Now you realize this now, is it?
Yeah, no, actually, so my wife pointed it out. Did something happen? Did you cut yourself there? I said, no. Then I looked at, oh man.
It has never happened.
No, it's never happened before. Other suddenly it's decided, you know what? We're going to get you, just like that.
So yeah, big issues that we discuss on the show. But we're going to carry on, of course. Thank you so much to our sponsors. Dara's on the show with us. Thanks so much for being a part of the show as always. And we've got some super stuff that you can actually win on the show.
As usual, we have the Dara's deal of the day. And one lucky winner is going to walk away with the product advertised at the end of the show. Normal form. So without further ado, let's see what there is. And here we are. So the Dara's deal of the day today is, here we are. It's a natural cactus potted plant. If anybody's getting any strange ideas about the cactus, stop it. Basically, you stand a chance to win this product. And of course, the attributes of a cactus is quite simply, it's so easy to manage. Actually, I managed to buy my son a cactus. Right?
I'll just let you carry on with this.
And it's supposed to have, calming, influences, especially if you're stressed out at work. And I'm glad that we're talking about brands today because, brand managers are constantly stressed out. All you got to do is simply locate this on the Dara's app and take a screenshot of that particular, natural cactus potted plant and send it via WhatsApp to our Dara's hotline. That's 075-011-7777. And the first one to get it right is going to walk away with this cactus potted plant, courtesy of Dara's.
It's as simple as that, of course. And always on the show, we've got a poll that we start off the show with. We're going to have that poll right now, right after this message.
Welcome to the universe of the Raz, where you explore and discover. Whatever you want, whatever you need, all you can imagine is on your feet. When miles are abridged, happiness is unlocked.
Tug it.
Discover your garage.
And we are back. And any clandestine attempts at scratching your back with that cactus plant? Stop it. But today we have a poll, and I think as usual we have stuck to our true form and come up with the relevant question that actually Kavi herself will find interesting. So here's today's poll. Do marketing and brand awards truly reflect the strength of a brand? Yes or no answers only. WhatsApp your answers to our hotline 077 669 1590. If you notice, the Dara's hotline and our hotline, different elements. So remember this number. Do marketing and brand awards truly reflect the strength of a brand? Yes or no? 077 669 1590. At the end of the show, we'll tell you exactly how the responses stand.
And we'll also ask Kavi at the end of the show what her opinion on this, and then we'll find out. So, sometimes, more often than not, the polls have actually really sort of shocked us.
Yeah.
What we collectively think is the right one compared to what comes up, it has been quite shocking. Yeah. And a fair amount of course, viewers watching us live on Channel 1, and of course, lots watching us on YouTube also at the same time. Right, time for us to dive deep into the conversation of the Slim Brand Excellence Awards. Firstly, congratulations being the chair of the project.
Thank you. Hope Anu doesn't throw me out.
Yeah.
No, that was my father.
But let's talk about this year's theme before we actually dive into the awards itself. Metal of Resilience. Tell us a bit about the theme and the reasons for choosing that this year.
Yeah, you know how we start every year saying like, this is going to be like a really great year. But we end the year saying it was an unprecedented year.
Yeah.
And we had no clue how unprecedented it could be, right? So we had like year after year, every December we think, sigh of relief, next year is going to be okay. But no, it got worse and worse and worse, right?
Yeah.
So then when I look back as a marketer, I don't know how the hell I made it through. And when I got to be the project and I actually spoke to my creative team and I said, what actually can be the theme? And they're like, you know what, there's nothing else we can come up with because we went through absolute fire.
Yeah.
So how metals kind of go and like really that formation process is through very high and heavy fires. Why don't we just use that? So through metal came metal, and then we kind of went with that theme, which seems really right for this year.
Yeah.
So
Resilience.
yes.
I think it seems really right for Sri Lanka.
Oh my God.
We are one hell of a resilient lot.
We're resilient, but we're forgetful as well.
Yeah, I'm very aptly put, as a matter of fact. I mean, we don't forget we are resilient, but we forget everything else.
Yeah.
So I mean, we certainly have been through a fair amount. I think in our lifetime, we've seen a 30-year war, we've seen floods, we've seen the tsunami.
That's true.
Obviously, we've gone through COVID. Now we're right smack in the middle of...
I still think we're better off than anyone born in 1910, for instance. You know what I mean?
I don't think they're alive.
Yeah, no, but no, at the time, as an 8-year-old, you're going through First World War.
Yeah.
As a 12-year-old, sleepy sickness.
Yeah.
As a 20-year-old, the Great Depression. As a 40-year-old, the Second World War.
Yeah.
Come on, man. I think we're
Shaq.
okay.
No, but the thing, I don't know, Anu. I mean, come to think of it, I don't know. I mean, I suppose there's some sort of, like, for example, if you take a look at COVID, right, we were battling an enemy we didn't see.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
so did they also. But that's what I wanted to say. Because they had that coronavirus first outbreak ever.
Yes, that's right.
In 1918.
Yeah.
Bam.
So, I mean, we're still going through right now. We're still going through. So I suppose that makes a lot of sense. But how have the brands, I mean, you've been in the industry for many years. You've seen the brands, certain brands grow. How have the brands sort of been resilient to this, what we're going through?
Actually, the battle is both internal and external.
Right.
Because once the financial issues started knocking on the door, the first thing you look at is the marketing budget.
Why is that? I mean, why is that?
I could never figure that out.
I mean, we had another very popular marketer, Gamika De Silva, was on the show with us.
Yes.
And then I asked him the same question. He said, "You tell me."
Yeah. Actually, that's the time that you need to pump more money into marketing.
To build brands, because you have to build brands for life. But unfortunately, when you build brands, the returns come in 5-10 years down the line. So great brands that are have been building themselves over the last century or so, right? So you don't see immediate returns. You tend to kind of cut, thinking next year we'll put, but it actually doesn't happen. So marketers had an internal battle to secure their spot, fight for their brand, which I think was the first battle of many. When you started off with the year 2019, where we had Easter tax, was the first budget cut. Then COVID year 1, COVID year 2, this year was really bad. So that was the first, I think, mode of resilience that kind of marketers had to really showcase.
Right.
Then going one step further, people were really skewed to whatever was happening on the TV, right? They weren't looking at what brands had to say. I mean, you take really relevant brands, at least day-to-day life, FMCG, they had some chance. But those brands that were really fighting for a spot on the Mind Ladder weren't really standing a chance.
That's true.
But still, Sri Lankan brands have really gone out. I was very proud last year. Dragons of Asia had many Sri Lankan brands winning. So it's not that we can't do, but many marketers find it difficult. But still, some have really done really well. So that's why this platform is there to kind of recognize their resilience, because if we don't kind of inspire them, then we kind of stop all of that inspiration that can really also spread out and inspire generations to come,
Yeah, you need that recognition, especially because it's not just about, getting your salary and increment and bonus. It's not as simple as that. A pat on the back from the board of directors is nice, but it doesn't cut it.
Exactly.
So what really cuts the mustard is when the industry kind of recognizes you up on that stage receiving the gold.
Yeah, and also consumers kind of recognizing you for a brand that wins awards, as well as somebody who stands by you, who you can say, they were there for me when I needed them. So if you can build a brand that actually can walk the talk, as well as being really good at what you do, that's, I think, the kind of the prize that a marketer can kind of take home, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can talk about it, and it works on your resume. It's all about track record. So, it really works. But, Kavi, what I want to really know is, so now there's a little perception out there that, certain recognitions, even international, is all about the money. You give the money, you advertise or whatever, bam, you are in it, right? How does brand excellence work?
It's very unfortunate that I can't say there aren't any platforms that do that. For sure, me as a marketer, when I go onto my inbox, there are many requests that say that, but you also have to pick and choose. Brand excellence, this is our 21st year. So that itself, it has been done over 2 decades, and that kind of recognition comes through that. And I think I mentioned that before also at another forum. This whole process has been done by the late Professor Udita Renege. We think of him as the father of marketing in Sri Lanka, right? So he has taken pains. If you actually look at a application for brand excellence, it used to be a 24-page massive document.
Yes,
so
I filled it.
Yes, you need to really know your brand. You need to know exactly why this was created, who it's going out to, why it was named the way it was named, and a lot of things. So you really kind of look at yourself, and when you fill that form over whatever you've done in the last year, you actually start questioning, have I really done justice by my brand in the past year, And that's like a really good wake-up call. So as a marketer, me as a young marketer, when I filled it, I learned so much, because I was scurrying to find my brand key to see what indeed to put in here. So I think, yes, to answer your question, there are platforms, unfortunately, but brand excellence has been carrying that flag of being a real recognizer of great work and people who really put effort to compete, because it needs effort to compete for this award.
Agreed. And I think the greatest testament is the fact that all of the blue chip companies, all the big boys in town, actually still look at brand excellence as the go-to. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that I think that kind of
Like the most
answers the question.
prestigious award.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I suppose the difference really is because you got the other awards which the agencies are sort of actually vying for, and this is directly with the clients
Yep.
itself.
Yep.
Yeah,
And the
correct.
clients are, of course, playing a bigger
Yep.
role
Yep.
in the brand excellence than the other awards.
That's
Let's talk through. Let's talk.
Talk us through.
This is the first time I've seen you fumble.
Oh my God! Oh no!
Were you thrown out of the house?
I know, bad juju.
Let's talk through the awards and the campaign, and of course the
Yes.
details. So
Yeah.
let's hear from the project chair.
All right. So whenever I hear chair, I think I know that's just a bad start to the conversation.
I'm going to stop it immediately.
All right, I'm gonna sober down. All right. So there are 15 awards. There are 5 main awards. If you're a product brand of the year, service element, service brand of the year, local brand, export brand, and also local brand for brands that have a international origin but are really well marketed here in Sri Lanka. There are 15. I'm going to miss one. It's like the 50 states of America, so I'm going to miss one. I'm going to try and remember all 10. So there's an online brand, because there are a lot of brands who are really just getting 100% of their revenue online. But we are looking at brands who are actually at least getting 60% of their revenue online at
Okay,
least.
wow. Okay.
So online brand, B2B brand. Then we're looking at turnaround brand. If you've had a downfall and you can really show how you turned your brand around through brand strategy, there's recognition for that. Innovative brand, if you've had a great service or a product innovation, that's where you can pitch it. Then the best new entrant, if you're a product under a great brand, or if you're a brand new brand coming into the market, you can pitch yourself there. And then there's CSR brand. I think Imal, head of jury, mentioned this. CSR brand of the year is not a brand that is just doing activities because it's sexy, because it wants to look like, you know, a good company. It has to be a brand that takes CSR to be a serious part of their branding agenda, right? So that is very important. And we have 2 new awards being introduced this year called Agile Brand, because the market situation kept on changing on a sometimes hourly basis this year and last year. So it's really required that we recognize brands that were also very quick to go to the market with solutions, and therefore capitalized on opportunities that the market presented because of this situation here.
Right.
So Agile Brand is something we're really going to look at, and it's an exciting arena that people can really fight for new. And Green Brand is actually brands who are really conscious about their carbon footprint.
Okay.
They're simply going to ask for for marketers to really come and pitch their green efforts, because that's something we need to kind of leave behind. And 2 special awards I need to mention are the SME Local Brand of the Year and SME Export Brand of the Year. So unlike the other like big awards, this is for companies who are earning up to 500 million annually. So so whereas the process is quite, I would say, very competitive for the rest of the 13, these you don't have few stages, because others have to go through a application process, then judges screen, then they mark you, then you are put into a second round where you actually come and pitch your story. But here, SMEs, because we want to uplift SMEs, we completely let them go on to the second round where they can actually come and tell the story in any language that they're comfortable in. And we actually recognize, just more than the gold, silver, bronze awards, we really recognize as many stories as possible, because that's a great purpose that we have behind this. So that's the awards criteria for you.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
I don't think you missed out any.
I may have, I don't know.
Kavi, I wanted to ask you now, let's say for brand of the year, okay? Just can you take us through the criteria that you need to fulfill in order to be considered for the brand of the year?
Yeah, wow, all right. So
I know there's a lot.
There's
You
a
can
lot.
cover the main points.
Yes.
You know?
So this year, I should actually talk about the brand book also, because
Yes, that's something we want to touch on, the brand book.
So actually, the great Professor Lenage was very strict in his whole criteria that he has kind of set. So you have the brand intent. So that's where you talk about the purpose, the vision, the mission of the brand, your reason for existence. Then you have the brand content. You talk about the customer, the insight you're driving, the life cycle. So it's the whole theoretical kind of aspect of how you construct a brand is completely captured. So as a marketer, you know how people say, marketing can common sense. No, actually, common sense is required for marketing. You can't be a marketer with a common sense. I'm sure you will agree with me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can't be just digital marketer without being street smart. But that alone is not enough, right? You need to have that scientific backing, and in this process, your scientific backing is clearly checked. You need to know your stuff, right? Then we have the brand process. Now you kind of activated your 360-degree wheel, and what things you kind of carried out. How have you really reached out to your consumers, your target audience, your employees? How were they involved? All of that comes under brand process. Then you have the brand performance, which is to do with your financial performance as well as the health of your brand. So you need to be ideally the company who is kind of governing the health of your brand through research as well. So that's what we advocate, but not necessarily do we disqualify you for not having research, but it's a practice we want to actually inculcate in Sri Lanka, and that's what we're driving. So that's like a massive process you have to go through, and if you win gold to become the brand of the year, all between this best of the best, it's the highest gold score that we go after.
Wow, it's like the Olympics.
Yeah, it's like the Grand Prix.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's like a marathon.
It is. Clearly, it goes through so much detail in terms of the criteria.
Yeah.
Hence, it's one of the, if not the most prestigious awards as far as marketers are concerned.
Yeah.
The brand book, something that you obviously introduced this year.
Yes.
What was the reason, though?
So
is it to cut down time? Or were you answering too many questions all the time?
So two things, right? From a marketer's point of view, before I became the project chair, I was feeling like one after the other, and I felt a lot of repetition happening because you're just talking about the same purpose. The purpose and things doesn't change, right? So also there's possibility like a certain panel of judges looks at one award and so forth. So you can really skew your purpose or your vision to kind of match your case. So that shouldn't be the way. A brand's the blueprint shouldn't change from the award that kind of you pitch to, right? So we wanted to make sure the brand book is this pristine blueprint that you yourself can use to refer to and kind of keep on building the brand on. But the applications, which used to be like very thick booklets, are now just a few pages, because those are the questions that really kind of asks you to justify why you should win in that category. So, for example, if you're the innovative brand of the year, you need to use those 1 or 2 pages with like the very limited space that we have given you this year to give a crisp answer about why you deserve that award. And your presentation should also carry that justification versus just talking about your vision and mission and purpose again and again and again. Because the brand book will be with the jury to refer and to give you marks. But it's why you should win in that category that we want to hear, the story behind your story. That's why the brand book was introduced.
Interesting, because I was obviously there at the media briefing, and then I thought the idea of bringing the brand book is a really good idea. Again, like you said, the repetition of instructions is one thing, and it also takes a lot of time in basically moving forward with this. A question that I have, Kavi, of course, is the fact that do marketing awards actually flirt around the theme that impressing the critics, so to say, is not always the same as if it drives the results? I mean, sometimes what I'm trying to say is it could be looked at the fact that can a brand win an award because it was pitched well to the jury comparatively to the fact that it didn't actually deliver the results in the market?
I think it's a bit of both. So marketers have to essentially be storytellers. You're given 10 seconds, 30 seconds to capture an audience through a story. So if you can't tell your own story well, then that definitely should kind of be a penalty that is imposed on you. So, but having said that, the stringent process that I mentioned, right, 30% is your result. Only 30% is your result. 40% is all about how you did what you did. So if you get that 40 and 30 together is 70% of your score. So you need to spend time and feel that, and to really tell us what you did, how you did what you did, and also how you got what you got out of those activities, the results, right? If you, I mean, that is in the process, in the application itself. Judges read through. So even if you don't say it out loud, there is a 10-minute questions session that judges get to kind of ask you questions, and you can of course go and talk about it. But it's written down. So even if you don't present it, if you have done, if your results are there, it's on paper.
Right.
So it's the process takes care of it, but also it's important because you're looking at humans, like like a panel of peers who will judge you. They're going one presentation after one presentation. You need to be memorable, and it's also the effort. Some people come with the actual innovative product. They do a small demonstration. They really think through the slides because it's only like a small amount of time you get to pitch your story. So it's natural that you kind of sway towards people who's taken the pain to really give you that pitch, you know.
Right.
So as marketers, I feel personally that if you can't tell the story, then I mean, are you really good at what you do?
That's
Maybe
true.
the results are not coming because of you.
Because of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But does Slim kind of check up on these stories? Because, you know, you can paint a beautiful picture.
It's audited.
It's
so
audited,
we
right.
ask for research and the brand performance results to be audited from an independent party.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, it's a big marathon we run.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, it's absolutely meticulous, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely.
But one thing I want to ask you, Kavi, is the fact that now all your awards, I mean, in general speaking, now your awards that's been pitched are basically pitched to a jury.
Yeah.
But the brands are actually out in the market to the public. Isn't there any way the public can be a part of this?
There are two types of awards. So Slim has two awards, which is one is People's Awards. I think
Right,
you've heard that.
yeah.
So they work with a research partner and they go out to Sri Lanka and they get like involved with this huge, like a Mata Vicharane, that kind of Vicharane that goes, right? That is where the people's voice comes into play. This is a panel of marketers who are quite efficient in knowing. I mean, if you're bluffing, you would know because we are peers. We are in the same industry, right? So this is a strategic kind of evaluation of what you've been up to by peers.
Right.
And so there are two different awards. So the award platforms are built for different audiences.
Right.
Like you mentioned, there's FEs that is completely with the agency.
Yeah.
The creative award. Digis, agencies, marketers together pitch for their digital campaign. Sitback Excellence is where purely marketers are judging what the industry has been up to. ඇති ඉතින් But the thing is, that's a panel. The Olympic system is being used. So
if it was a one-man show, then I can understand that.
Yes.
I just want to see how effectively. So the brand's brand of the year, you know, the ultimate winner of the year, or the gold winners. How do they compare, let's say, with brand excellence as opposed to people's choice? Is there an overlap?
Yes.
Or are they very different?
There is a massive overlap, especially like I mentioned, on categories that are on a daily basis that people use,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
So like FMCG products, if you look at food, if you look at like, you know, I mean... Telco, right?
Yeah.
Very things that are very close to, there's a massive overlap because people tend to remember it.
Yeah.
But by categories that are quite a bit distant, I would say, like maybe insurance or like, you know, a little distant, then old memory structures come into play.
Absolutely. So they kind of go back to the nostalgia argument.
Yes. So it's also how strongly have you built your brand, how memorable is it, versus how great is your strategy. So, you know, there has to be ideally overlap, but in certain cases, it's not.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Because especially for new brands, it's very difficult to compete in people's choice.
Talk about the judging process itself. Firstly, we'll talk about how does Slim go about, or the brand excellence committee go about actually picking the judges on what's the criteria, what's based on that? All right.
So actually, we are quite. The head of jury is quite assertive, and he has basically put down this. It needs to be at least marketers who has done one campaign that we all know about. So you have to have gone through at least one campaign process that Sri Lanka knows about. So like I said, it's a panel of peers, right? And minimum of 10 years in marketing. Ideally, so I mean, for certain categories, we have people who have been in marketing for last 25 years even, because like if you take things like SME award, SME local SME export brand of the year, or turnaround brand, or innovative brand, where you can like take a small thing and really like make it out to be this big bad thing, it has to be experienced marketers who can call out that bluff. So for different panels, they have been picked also based on their careers. Where have they been? If they've been handling financial sector brands, if they've been handling like relevant brands, then they put to service brand of the year. And there are quite a lot of recusals of that we bring just in case they've been immediately handling a brand like that, or if they are in a competitor with a competitor. So likewise, it's quite tough, to be very honest, because to keep a jury quite independent, because you have friends who would call and ask, can I be a part of the jury? But thankfully, I have a very strong head of jury who has put his foot down and said, no, this is my criteria. If you want me to be responsible, this is my, so I'm very lucky that way.
All right. You touched on it earlier, how do you prevent, now for instance, when you're presenting, now, lots of presentations happen on that one day or 3 days.
There are 4 days of presentations, yes.
And so the person going first is tremendously lucky.
Yep.
Person going after lunch is also extremely
lucky.
Person going at 5:30 in the evening, very, very unlucky.
Yep.
So how do you take out the human error part of this?
All right. Yeah. So one thing is we tend to club. I mean, if we have, depending on the number of entries we have 15 categories to play with, right? So we make sure, like I said, juries are very different. Right. So we try to keep the first jury, if it's gonna judge maybe 30 entries, okay, they are there, and then they get a break whilst the other guys kind of come on board, right? And also this year we've gone and cut. We used to give 20 minutes to present, but this year we've gone and cut it by 10 minutes and just halved it, because if you can, like I said, if you can like interest your consumers in 30 seconds, you should be able to tell your story in 10 minutes. And also, since the brand book takes care of all the hygiene factors, you just have to pitch your story, what you've done, right, and what you've gotten out of it. So that way, judges also, you don't have to listen to theory. You're coming into action straight away. So it's like watching your last 12 balls yesterday coming straight into action. So that should.
There's no build up.
Absolutely. But I'm in the interest of inclusivity, and also this is the way my brain works. Gota gahana kenek kawat mokada karana vinadi 10.
Api poda vinadi
chance එකක් දෙනවනේ.
But credit to him that he's been chosen to present.
Absolutely.
That means he must be really good.
So that's what I'm
Great
saying.
storyteller.
Because you got to be inclusive, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What's the transparency process, though? What are the measures taken to keep it as transparent as possible to everybody out there?
Yeah, so there's we have like you are our official streaming partner. We also have an official audit partner who will sit throughout whilst judges do their first round streamlining, as well as the second round where the presentations come. So from the time that we give them, to the documents they give, to the annual reports they present, to the presentations that they carry, and the recusals and the marks, we follow the Olympic system, I said. There's an audit partner who completely signs off, and all of us, any jury member that comes on board has to sign an NDA. Where, so it's like I said, it's Institute of Marketing. So and Professor Dutrenagi has done an amazing job in keeping it very meticulous. So that's how.
Wow. It's been just looked through. Because
you know, over the
answer to everything.
Because over the last 21 years, and I've worked in advertising, so it has fallen to us sometimes from the brand, department of each brand that we handle, to kind of help us fill this.
Craft the story better.
Right. How long usually, Anu, is it, for example, when you do apply for an application process, to the whole thing? How long does the agency usually take?
All Sri Lankans wait till the last minute. We all wait till
We do. We buy 31st night
Yeah.
tickets and 31st morning.
It was සාමාන්‍ය කරලා සිකුරාදා දවල් 12 වෙනකොට මේක ගෙනල්ලා දෙන්න කියලා.
Yeah.
About 300 people will call and මේක දෙක වෙනකම් පොඩ්ඩක් අදින්න බැරිද? Normal form.
That's
Right.
true. That's why at the media conference, as I mentioned, the official date is the 22nd of September for your entries. When you call and ask me for 1 or 2 days more or 2 or 3 hours more, we will consider.
Yes, yes. So it's normal.
It's very normal.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting. A quick question I asked you in terms of, I wanted to find out, in terms of the presentation, brands presenting to the peers, to the judges, so to say, is that recorded in any way? Can
No.
the judges go back and take a look at it if they want to? Or do
No.
they have to judge at that point?
At that point.
Why is that?
Also, there's a lot of confidential information being presented.
Yeah.
So there's sales figures and brand health scores that can go to a competitor. There's a
Right.
risk. So we don't record any of the sessions. That is also why the audit partners are there. So it's exactly based on what you present in those 10 minutes and how you answer the questions judges present in the next 10 minutes. After that, judges take another 10 minutes to discuss, agree, and then score the points, and then it's given to KPMG where they take it on.
Unlike love, first impressions count. Heshan has a good question though. What are the fundamental components needed for a successful brand? Yes.
All right. All right. So when you say fundamental components needed for a successful brand, I always say this: your brand promise, whatever you promise, need to be met at the moment of truth.
Yeah.
So branding started off when, earlier people used to kind of brand their cattle for differentiation, where they kind of used to burn certain symbols to just
Absolutely.
tell their cattle apart, right?
Brand
So
wasn't very happy about it.
yes. But so the first thing is therefore differentiation. You need to differentiate your brand, either using whatever sensorials you can. It can be a color, music, it can be the tonality that you have, or brand ambassadors. However, which way you can, you need to differentiate your brand so that it's memorable, and you need to have consistency. Differentiation, consistency, right? And whatever you speak need to be relevant to the consumer. If your target audience has no clue about what you're talking about, then your brand is not going to get any stick on. So you have to be relevant. But I think most importantly, whatever you promise, so your promise has to be obviously relevant, but when it comes to that moment of truth, you need to deliver. If you don't deliver, I always tell my team and whoever I meet, it's okay to not have people trying your brand, because you can get them to try. But if they try and walk away, you can never convince them to come back. So as long as you walk the talk and you have differentiation, you have consistency, and you have relevance that you keep on building, creativity, of course, that's a given,
subjective thing.
right?
Yeah,
it's a given. But I think these are the essential things that really makes up a great brand.
Well, what about focus on target market? Because not every brand appeals across the board, right?
That's true.
So I find that especially in advertising, I've been in it for about 18 years now, and there have been brands that have missed the mark completely because they pitched to somewhere, but it really wasn't being consumed by that
That's
target
true.
audience.
So the question really is the fact that how many brands do really know their target market?
Now they do,
Yeah.
Shaq.
Now they do.
Now a lot of research and a lot of
Yeah.
money is spent on
Yes, it's
identifying
gonna come to that.
exactly the target
That's
market.
true.
Because otherwise, you are spending hundreds of millions
Yeah.
over several years, let's say, or even in 1 year, pitching your message to some wrong segment in the society.
Which has been happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of wastage of money. I mean,
Yeah.
that shouldn't happen. So to answer your question,
Yeah.
I think the answer is very simple. If you take a step back and look at it, so always remember that, your brand is not you. So you can't say, I wouldn't do it, therefore my consumers won't do it. Your consumers are not you. So you need to first understand what age, where are they living, what language do they speak, and especially now because digital marketing is the future, where on social media are your consumers, and what kind of content, what is the length of the content, what language, actually we sometimes deliver really premium, really beautiful content, but people don't really understand it. So it's not your founder or your board of management that really knows the consumer. You need to really go and find out and give them content, like I said, relevance, right? You need to also evolve with the consumer. If the consumers on TikTok, you can't be like, you know what, now last year we spent 20 million on Facebook, therefore this year also we have to spend that. If your consumers on TikTok, kindly move. Don't be,
Yeah, and also please don't advertise your commercial on the radio channel that your CEO is listening to.
Exactly.
Because that really doesn't do anything for your brand.
Exactly.
Except a promotion for you.
Yes.
Because you has heard it.
Yes. Yes, actually this happened once when I was handling a brand that was actually skewed towards moms, right? And I had a superior who was a gentleman. And he said, you know what, you're not doing a good job. I haven't said. I said, you're not a mom. I'm sorry. I'm not advertising to you.
If you haven't heard it, actually I've done my job right.
Exactly.
That's what
Exactly.
Something else that I wanted to ask you, Kavi, because, okay, there are lots of family-owned businesses in the country.
Yep.
Okay, so they've had a way of doing things over, let's say, 50 years or more. Okay, the newer generation is running it now. Do you see more of those companies coming in to compete for brand exports?
Very much so. Very much so. Actually, I've had the privilege of presenting to many. I wouldn't name but I've had the privilege of talking to many, because this year we also want to at least get thrice the number of entries we got last year from SMEs. Because what we see is the second or third generation in Sri Lanka, like you mentioned, they are very open-minded. They've seen how the world functions from Sri Lanka. They don't have to go out, right? So they know the potential and they really aim high. So versus just going and talking to a bunch of marketers about this, the level of excitement, the level of follow-up, the amount of calls. It's like I've been handling a consumer care line these days. I've been inundated with so many calls asking, okay, in this question, what are the judges expecting? And and it really, as a project, you need to have a certain part is your purpose that you drive, right? To kind of uplift Sri Lankan brands. And in this year, I need to check up with the other project chairs if it had been the same on other years as well. This year, I'm blessed. I've been having so many calls, and I think also COVID in that way helped, because there are so many newcomers who really want to pitch their business, who really changed their model because of COVID and the economic crisis. And to hear their stories, I'm thinking, does my brand, because I'm also a contender in this whole thing, does my brand stand a chance? I'm thinking, wow.
People have really done marvelous.
Yeah, I know.
Come to think of it, because again, this goes back to your theme, isn't it? The resilience.
That's true.
Because of what we went through with COVID, we were all basically pushed to a corner, but we had to come out of it in different ways. And and you need to repositioning your brand is also very difficult, isn't it, for a marketer? And you are forced to reposition.
And very expensive.
Because you're breaking memory structures and then kind of making them.
And that's exactly what we did. We continuously repositioned brands in 2020.
But I think marketers and the people of the country were complicit in a lot of things. Because we understood as a nation and as a people that we need to collectively get out of this together.
That's true.
And the thing is, obviously it's very transparent that money needs to keep circulating in order for, everyone, for a nation to be wealthy. So I think we did it together. But, in your opinion, Kavi, how healthy are Sri Lankan brands?
Good question. All right. So I think over the last 4 years, a lot of brands' health took a dip because businesses had to kind of prioritize sometimes people, sometimes it was to be very fair, it was a person's pay versus the money you spend on your brand, right? So it was tough call. So because of that, a lot of brands took a dip. But what I'm seeing right now, people are now kind of rallying up, because when you see your brand value dip over year after year after, it kind of hits you, and then again everybody kind of gets activated. So now I see a lot of brands kind of picking up, going through their creative partners briefing, because there was a time where agencies had no work. Nobody was willing to kind of give work, right? But I think I wanted to add a little bit onto your question,
Yeah,
if I
sure,
may,
go ahead,
right?
yeah.
I think A, Sri Lankan's brand took a dip, and B, Sri Lanka brand
Yeah.
Sri Lanka took a dip.
Oh,
right
right,
now,
yeah.
we are, I
Yeah.
mean, earlier we were known for the war
Yeah.
and the tsunami. Now we are known for so many wrong things, and
Yeah.
the economic crisis is what we
Yeah.
are mainly known for, right?
Yeah.
I think as marketers, like a lot of other countries use marketers well in building their country's brand,
Right.
nation branding.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of like a massive responsibility that lies on the shoulders of Sri Lankan marketers, but we don't realize it. I think if all marketers come together and really build their brands and in line build the
Yeah.
mother Sri Lanka
Yeah.
brand,
Yeah.
I think that is one way we can come out of this situation. Again, not short term.
Right.
Long term. If you look at digital media, I mean, you can release content, it goes all over the world. And if you can make it positive, if you can make it about Sri Lanka, that's your way of adding back to this country. So it's a call out to all marketers. If we can, we need to get together and really find ways to like build these brands. That's why as a national body of marketing, we're trying to see if we can actually get a nation branding concept going, where we can kind of get the help of all marketers in Sri Lanka and do this.
Actually, yeah.
That's
And
a great
actually
idea.
push your individual brands in line with Mother Lanka
Exactly,
brand.
exactly.
Kavi, I'm so glad that you said that, because I've thought about this for a long, long time, and why we don't pull together. Why can't the Sri Lanka Institute of Marketing make it one of the conditions of getting recognition is that you collaborate?
I think we can.
You
going
can't force
forward.
it, of
Yes.
course, but certainly a nudge in the right direction.
Yes, so actually, as I'm also chairing that project,
Yeah.
we have this nation branding project that we are actually kicking off in October, where we're trying to actually get as many marketers as possible to join with us to actually do this, because if we don't do it, we and our generations to come will really not,
Yeah, not talk of us
Yes,
fondly, let's put
exactly.
it like that.
Yeah, that's true. So.
Shaq and I are willing to help you in any way we
Awesome.
can.
Of
Okay?
course we are.
Yeah.
Of course we are.
It's a
And
given.
that's for sure. I mean, we're all out, obviously. Unfortunately, we're in a situation where we need to rebuild our country's brand.
That's true.
Yeah.
At no fault of ours.
Yeah.
But
I have to disagree with that.
yeah,
Shaq.
okay, a bit of our fault.
Complicit.
Yeah.
Complicit
That's
because
true.
you have elected,
Yeah.
nobody grabbed power. Elected successive governments which has actually not thought of a long-term policy, fiscal policy, brand strategy, nothing.
Right.
So, that's why I said, so if we do something now, our future generations will forgive us.
For sure, for sure. I mean, that's a great idea in terms of this national brand policy that you're coming up with. But on the current situation, I mean, we've actually spoken a fair amount about the Brand Excellence Awards. I think we've covered almost everything.
Yep.
We're into the final 10 minutes of the show right now. In the current situation, with a financial crisis that we're going on right now, when there is very little disposable income and marketing is all about getting people to buy, now your purchase power is less.
Yep.
How do brands cope up with that?
So that's why I also said that the brands have been taking that dip over the last few years, but now brands are picking up. So I think innovation is the way to go. I mean, if people can't, being relevant is also not just with your communication, it's also especially with your product mix, right? So if people cannot buy big volumes per se, then you
Right.
need to go with smaller, more snackable kind of volumes that we can give. And if there's any way that you can look at your supply chain and see where if you can introduce low cost business models that can really drive revenue for you as well as cost, affordability for the consumer. Marketers can't be just looking at communication right now. You need to
Right.
take lead to really, because you stand for the consumer. You are the voice of the consumer
That's
inside the
right.
organization,
That's
right?
right.
So you need to be driving service innovations, product innovations, low cost business models that can really be there for the consumer. Because if you can be there for the consumer right now, that's the greatest level of brand building you can do, because they're going to remember it. That's going to speak to your heart, not to your mind, right?
Right.
So as a marketer, I think that's what we should be driving.
Unfortunately, I can't actually talk about the brand on the show, but there is a fantastic innovation that's actually out in the market right now. When there was an issue when there was no milk powder, right? A tea brand obviously comes with a 3-in-1.
Yeah, I saw it.
It's
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And,
Fantastic.
I mean, I don't drink tea, right?
Yeah.
But then I know for a fact that there are lots of people out
Yep.
there.
How did
Yeah.
you just look at people's reactions when they drank it and thought, that's fantastic.
No,
Did you find that fantastic?
No, I mean, the thing is,
Yeah.
I mean, it came at a point where milk powder was at,
Yeah,
at,
true,
a
true.
very low
I mean, absolutely
scarcity.
spot
Yeah.
on. No?
Yeah.
Absolutely
Spot on,
spot
yeah.
on.
Spot on.
And they
Very true.
move so fast.
They move
Yeah.
so fast. Yeah, I mean,
And I actually saw that and I knew, I valued it for its innovative value, but I also do not drink tea.
Yeah.
I mean, unless I'm at a boardroom and somebody offers you this. But
I drink
otherwise,
tea.
peanut.
I never
drink
said
tea.
Monwata
I'm a tea drinker and I love it.
Yeah.
Good for
Yeah.
you. Very good. For you.
Yes.
Unfortunately,
And they're
we-
competing this year as well.
Are they?
Oh,
Yes.
excellent. So that's great news because I think they really,
Yeah.
really had something there.
Yes.
I didn't. They
But
did. Yeah.
another thing that about Sri Lanka is we're an island nation. So aspirations far outweigh our economic capabilities.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
all you have to do is actually.
Yeah.
So brands are in one sense, brands are positioned in a really nice way being in Sri Lanka because look at our debt. Not about the country's debt, but personal debt.
Yeah.
People have credit card debt up to the eyeballs, but let's pay party. Never give them
That's so true. That was a tour culture. Yes, true.
yeah. So fortunately that way,
Yeah.
so there's a little balance, there. So you don't have to try as hard as perhaps India.
Yeah.
Yeah, savings culture. That's true.
Because it's a huge savings culture.
Yeah.
As a marketer, Kavi, I mean, how do you see the brands moving from this point? You say they're picking up right now. We are almost 3 months into the season.
Yeah.
The last couple of seasons in Sri Lanka, was we haven't had a season.
Yep.
It's been pretty bad. 2020, 2021,
Yep.
2022. Obviously, we are right smack in the middle of a financial crisis. We do see a light at the end of the tunnel. How do you see the season for the brands per se?
I think marketers have to make a real smart call because see, whilst us in the cities and also somewhat at the top of the pyramid can really look forward to a season, there's maybe a 70-80% of your consumers who still cannot figure out how to figure out their month's expenses, right? Or days,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So as marketers, especially depending on your target audience as well, but also you need to be you have an audience of Greater Sri Lanka. So when you pitch for the season, I think you have to take that into account. What am I trying to be here? Do I go all out and be this, great seasonal brand? And that might be driving your business strategy. And if that is the case, then you should. But
Right.
I feel like you need to have a small sustainability or CSR element built into your campaigns because there's a greater amount of consumers that cannot even think of a season right now. So you have to make that call depending on your consumer audience. But I think as marketers, we have a greater purpose that we need to build and kind of live. So this season is going to be tricky for especially seasonal brands. That's my personal take.
Kavi, I'm so glad that you mentioned CSR once again. Do you see in the last year or 2 years or so, more and more CSR activity taking place by the big brands?
Yes. I think even more than the big brands, especially individual brands, people brands, who have been really taking this effort. If we had, I think we'll see that at the People's Awards as well.
Yeah.
Individuals who have taken this cause, but also small-scale brands, especially on digital media, who are just maybe 1 or 2 years or 2 or 3 months, especially done by youngsters, really taking that, being a lamplighter and really kind of driving that. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, they found amazing ways to help the community. So I think in that element, they've also realized that that's the future because consumers look for brands who drive sustainability and CSR. So they've obviously recognized that. From a green point of view, I think people have forgotten that because of the economic crisis, the forgettability of Sri Lankans coming into play. I think green side of things can really step up. But from a give and community support point of view, I think really a lot of brands are taking that.
I think the jury is going to have their work cut out.
I was
my
just
God.
about to say, I said, this
Yes.
is, considering the number of people obviously who want to be a part of it, and also, like you said, in the last couple of years, brands have really picked up and they've moved and pivoted their
Quite a
business
lot.
plans, so to
That's
say,
true.
even to move around. I think the jury really has it sort of cut out for them.
Yep. I'm wondering whether the 4 days are going to be enough now this year. I might have to have maybe 1 or 2 days more allocated.
Oh, presentation එක කරන්න දික් කරන්න පුළුවන් නම් awards consider කරන්නත් තව පොඩ්ඩක් ගන්න පුළුවන්.
But how's the response been so far?
Very good, very good. I was actually scared accepting this because this is the biggest awards that we have had, the most, like the oldest platform as well, and it comes with the responsibility of doing a gala at a massive like a place, because this is the only award that marketers alone come, and this is their night. But when your inflation is 50-60%, when your P&L for the awards is looking at about 70% plus, I was really scared. But I am reassured because of the enthusiasm. What I've realized is people are proud of what they have done and how they have managed, and they are ready to tell the story. So in that way, I am very confident. And like I said, I've been handling a mini call center. So if that is proof enough, we should have a lot of entries.
It's an amazing time, isn't it? Because we've all gone through this tough period.
Yeah.
Every brand has their story. And some of them have some really unique stories.
Oh yeah. Being in advertising, we've seen some of the stories. Been part of the stories.
Pivot through those stories.
But have I Kavi award ceremony එක වෙන වෙලාවෙ then like after the spiritual upliftment has taken place, පුළුවන් නම් ගන්න වීඩියෝ එකක් දෙකක් අර පරණ කට්ටිය කියන ඔබ මාව දාලා ගිය මටම එන්න පීයෙන්
Post content behind the scenes.
BTS.
Yes.
Right here then, final 2 minutes right here on the show. Kavi, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
We really wanted to find out the intricacies of the Brand Excellence Awards. We see it from outside. We see the magnanimity of it. We see how big it is. We see how prestigious it is. But now we know the sheer amount of work that really goes into it behind the scenes is brilliant. I mean, of course, the finals is in December.
Yep.
And from this point onwards, you have your work cut out all the way up to December to get this going off. Well, I mean, we wish you all the very best.
Thank you so much, and it's been a delight. I didn't actually realize 1 hour has gone by. So thank you so much for the invitation. Really appreciate it.
So and you were so comprehensive. Fantastic.
I know. I mean, the thing is, we just covered everything in as simple as possible. Spoken like a true marketer.
Right? Absolutely.
You've sold the story. Right? You've won it.
Thank you.
Gold goes to you.
Well done. Wait. We have give stuff away.
Yes.
Yes. Now, before we say goodbye to Kavi, we really have to give the Dara's deal of the day away today. So this was it. A natural cactus potted plant. I saw more than a few raised eyebrows the moment we spotted it was a cactus being given away. But this is the Dara's deal of the day today. And you know what? Who are we to question what floats your boat? It's all good. Yep. But all you had to do was take a screenshot of it, of the Dara's app, and then send it to our WhatsApp number. And the lucky person who did it and won the Dara's deal of the day is...
Congratulations.
There we are. Eneka Pereira from Malabe. Eneka, I do hope you have a wonderful time with your cactus. Dara's deal of the day winner. And I'm sorry, that came out wrong, but I meant no joke about it.
My eyes are just closed.
Eneka, well done.
Right, we're going to take a quick break. Coming back, we'll have the answer to the poll that we obviously started the show off with right after this.
Welcome to the universe of the Raz, where you explore and discover whatever you want, whatever you need. All you can imagine is on your feet. When miles are abridged, happiness is unlocked. Tug it. Discover your Daraz.
And we're back.
Thank you so much. Final few seconds. And the question that we asked at the beginning of the show was this.
Yeah. Do marketing and brand awards truly reflect the strength of a brand? Yes or no answers only. And this is, of course, a very candid viewpoint from our viewers who are mostly consumers.
That's right. What do you think, Kavi?
I think award shows that are done well, yes. That are sold for money, no.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. So let's see how the response stands at the end of the show. Yeah, 39% say marketing and brand awards do truly reflect the strength of a brand. So that means 61% feel that it does not.
That it does not.
Yeah.
It does
Interesting.
Yeah, it's good to know these figures,
Yeah.
you know, because, you know, so like I said, the target
Yeah,
market.
that's true.
Yeah,
Very true.
Yeah.
And the thing is, of course, we got lots of people, of course, sitting at home, relaxing and watching this conversation, and it's
Yeah.
just a one-off thing. And the moment they see the poll,
Yeah.
which I know a fair amount of people, sometimes they just see the poll and they don't think about it too much because our polls are not necessarily there to think about. So yes or no, you just say yes.
Yeah.
You know, no one dives into the reason. But
That's
then
true.
this, I mean, like we said earlier on, many guests have actually come in and been surprised with
Yep.
the poll results
Yeah,
that have come
absolutely,
about.
yeah.
And
Yep.
it's like some have said that this is something to think about.
Absolutely, you know, I think assumption is the problem. you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Actually, when you put it in a nicer way, if I may say, Sri Lanka polls, which is like the elections, also don't
Yeah.
really demonstrate the strength of brands that are kind of going against. So I think this
Yeah.
is right.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
Thanks, Kavi, for
Well-
being a part of
well
the show.
spotted.
Yes, thank you very much for being a
Thank
part
you
of the show.
so much.
Absolutely.
I had the
Thanks,
most amount of fun. Thank you so much.
We always have fun on the show. So they have Kavi on the show with us, the project chair of the Slim Brand Excellence Awards. And it's happening on the 8th of December?
Yep.
On the 8th of December, that's when the awards night is going to happen, and find out who's going to walk off with the prestigious award of the Brand of the Year.
Absolutely.
Wow. Look forward to that one. That's it as far as the show is concerned. Tomorrow night, we'll be back with